Okay, welcome to another video on my quest to reach the huge target of 2400. I'm just going to jump right into the game using Lichess. This is a slightly tougher game than I've been having so far. First couple of games I was playing 1800s or so. Nothing wrong with being 1800 at all. But they are not quite as strong as my next opponent, I suspect. Someone who's in the 2370s. I've beaten players like this before, so it shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, I'm playing a Dutch against d4. White's playing a kind of early e4 break. They're trying to shove e4 to get control at the centre. I can either allow this or not allow it. And I'm going to allow e4, but pressurize d4, just to make things interesting. And I'm going to continue pressurizing with knight c6. I might even choose to play d5 in the future, although I do doubt that a little bit. Right, so now White has made their intentions clear. They're not going to play e4 straight away. They're going to wait, see what happens. I'm very tempted to play knight d5. Very, very tempted. And I am going to play it. The reason is that White now has an annoying choice to make, or a difficult choice to make. They can either let me take their bishop, and I will have the bishop pair, so that will be good for the ending when I'll have two bishops and they won't. And there'll be a lot of open space in the middle, hopefully, and my bishops will be able to dominate their knights. If they don't give me the bishop, their e3 pawn is going to drop. Now, my suspicion is that the best move on the board is actually letting me have the bishop and playing some sort of strange move like queen e2 with complications. But that would also, if the e-pawn took the bishop, if I took the bishop then their e-pawn took my knight back, it wouldn't be defending d4 anymore. So I would then be able to capture on d4 twice with my c-pawn and my other knight. So White's already got a difficult position. They don't really have any good bishop moves with the f4 bishop. Bishop g3 just looks bad. Again, the e-pawn drops. Developing with bishop d3 could potentially lose a pawn on d4. And knight e2 may be the best move. But then I actually have the slightly astonishing move g5, which would attack their bishop, making it move, or they'll lose something. And then when it moves, the e3 pawn still hangs, still drops. So oh wow, they played knight c4. Okay, so they have elected to play this move because if I do something ridiculous like g5, which is not out of the question yet, I will maybe make life difficult for myself. They might be able to play things like bishop to e5 or bishop d6. So I need to think about g5 quite a while. And this is why I like games that aren't 1 minute. I do have b5, which could be very interesting, playing b5. Going for their knight as well and forcing their knight to do something interesting. Knight to a3, though, does seem to destroy my attempt at a quick victory. I am going to take their bishop because I think I see something. Okay, they have pre-moved, which is when you literally do the move before black has done it, and if it's legal, you have to do it. I'm now going to capture their pawn. They have pre-moved again. They're pre-moving a little bit too liberally, I believe. And a quick check, bishop b4, and they now have to run away with king f2. a3 could be an idea for them. I don't believe that's a bad idea. I really, really want to do something about their pawn on d4. So that's why I'm going to play queen f6. Directly challenging the d4 pawn, causing more problems for white. It's possible that a3 is a good move here, but they haven't chosen it. They've chosen knight to e2. And I can nearly get away with knight takes d4. And by nearly, I mean I don't get away with it. So, just simple moves. I don't need to do anything special, just castle. Nice and simple. White's king is horrible, their pawns are a wreck, and I have the two bishops. I'm very, very happy at the moment with how things are going. This is subject to change. I could easily blunder, which is not unlike me. A3 is chosen by white. I think that makes a lot of sense. I am going to drop my bishop back, keeping my two bishops for a later date. And I am thinking of a very sneaky move, b6. The idea behind b6 looks like I'm going to get the c8 bishop to b7, or even a6, and they've done the move. They've done the move I thought they would do. d5. This allows the bishop to come back with vengeance and a check. I'm really uncertain if this move was good for white. They have totally collapsed. Their king is horribly weak. King e1 may be the best move on the board. I could be wrong, but king there does appear to be the best move. King g3 just looks absolutely awful, and they have played it. They have played the move, king to g3. This looks unbelievably risky to play this, but it is possible. I've missed something. Right, let's not waste time. Let's do a check. Patzer sees a check, as some very unkind grandmasters say to me. And, I mean, to be fair, they're right. King to h3, so I'm very close to checkmate. But not yet. They do have ways out. They do appear to have a way out. So, queen check. More checks are coming. And here, can you see what I'm planning? I hope you can, because, well, I mean, it's my only plan, really. My only plan is rook to f6. I'm going for checkmate straight away, no messing around. And they do appear to have found an antidote to my attack. However, this is still incredibly dangerous for white. I have bishop f2 in the future. Got lots and lots of attacking moves. I am actually going to do the check. It's maybe a bit inaccurate playing the check. But I do have a reason to do this. They run away. Then, knight to e7. I don't really want to take their d5 pawn, because that would let their queen suddenly become active and useful. I've kept my two bishop advantage. I've still got a potentially lethal attack on the the white king. My plan, they've taken it. Wow, they've actually taken. So their idea, I think, is to move their queen to d8 if I take the pawn with my pawn. Now that could be extremely dangerous for me to do that, so I am going to refrain from taking. I'm actually going to switch to the center again. Just playing simple, I think. Queen d5 is impossible because of my knight on e7 being annoying. I'm planning to potentially do d5, opening up my c8 bishop and therefore my a8 rook. Bring all your pieces in the attack. You don't want to be launching an attack with only half your forces. Right, and they've done b4. So they are potentially going for my bishop pair. I'm potentially going for mate. So I am planning, at least hoping, for the idea of playing queen to g3. And you may see that their knight on e2 is just a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do is, after I play queen h4, I will give my rook away. I will give them a gift, essentially a Greek gift or a Trojan horse. I'm going to capture their knight, and if they take me, they will get mated on the g3 square after queen h4. And they would be horribly losing. The time situation, we're about 55 minutes each, so neither side has got horribly in trouble with their lack of time. Neither side has the advantage over the other, really. If anything, I have the smallest of time advantages. And look at White's pieces. Their two rooks, their bishop, and even their queen are all completely useless at the moment. They can't really do anything with them. Their e2 knight is being held down like an anchor because of this queen g3 plan that I have at any moment. And they can't really do a lot with the c4 knight either, apart from possibly knight to e5. That may be the only move that they currently have. So here, actually, I'm going to amend what I said. It's always good to be able to change your mind, be open to new ideas. I may do queen g6 instead, because if I go queen h4, they do have g3, when I can't sack my rook for the knight then because they can take my queen. They have done knight to e5, so they are not messing around. They're trying to go knight d3 with an annoying move. That's a good move. I like that. Right, so I have to think of how to counter this. Knight d3, I could always just go bishop f4. So I don't have to worry too much about that. Knight d3 would also completely seal in their pieces. So maybe d5 is the correct move. But it is a pawn move. Pawn moves need to be analysed very deeply before playing them. Possibly rook takes knight is okay. But why should I give up the exchange? Why do I need to give back the piece? Or give up the piece, I should say. Knight g6 looks very nice as a move. I just have to work out if it is the move to play. Knight g6. If they do queen d5, I will then do knight takes knight, maybe? I'm going to try this. Knight g6. It could easily be wrong, but I've got this attack on f4, which is potentially tying white down. My queen on h5 is great at the moment. It's stopping all these pawn moves that they could do. Alright, now my bishop is being attacked, so I will retreat it rather begrudgingly to e3. I'm now targeting f4. And I have ideas of taking on f4 very soon. Knight g3 is chosen by white. They have a nice move there. Yeah, nice idea. Alright, never mind. I thought I could do a move which is illegal. Alright. Queen h4 maybe is the correct move? Or was it queen h6? It's one or the other. Queen h6. They're going to do knight f5 or knight f5, I think, no matter what I do. So if I do bishop takes f4 after they play knight f5, they go g3, I think. Then I can play queen g5 no matter what. So if they play king g1, I think I want my queen on h6, where it's lined up with the bishop. It seems to be more coordinated that way. But white is starting to come out of the horrible bind they were in, so I congratulate him on that. It's a good escape he's managed to achieve. So if g3, I think I get away with queen g5, when taking my bishop will result in me taking the knight on f5. So not quite losing. To be honest, my position's starting to become a little bit ropey because my c8 bishop and my a8 rook are not yet in the game, and they can't really get in the game very quickly. So I do need to be a little bit careful of overstretching my attack, then suddenly being faced with white and their full fury as they develop their pieces with a quick initiative. King g1 has been chosen. That makes a lot of sense to me. then again, some of my moves make no sense. Right, so it's possible it's a draw with accurate play. I'm not liking my position too much, so I'm not terribly upset if I draw this game. I think I must have had the advantage, but it's possibly slipped. Still got active pieces right now, though, so white may not want to try for anything more than a draw. So with that in mind, I'm going to spend 30 seconds just looking at the position to make sure I'm not throwing away some easy win. The trouble is my queen is being attacked right now, so I can't do any fancy moves with a non-queen. Queen g5, they can take my bishop at least. Queen takes. They're still a bit stuck, to be honest. They are still a little bit stuck. Bishop e2 is unavailable. But they do have knight moves, don't they? They have rook c1, maybe a move. Knight h4. I just can't see the killing blow. I can't see the winning move. So I am actually going to go for the draw and play boring. I might gain like 1 point. No, they've decided to change their minds and go for the win, I assume. So queen g5 is basically forced. I have to attack their undefended piece. If I don't do that, I'm really in trouble. Right, so they have plenty of moves here to make me think. I believe I'm going to do queen takes knight, almost no matter what they do. I say almost because there are a few things they can do which will make me change my mind and reevaluate the position. The material as it stands is actually equal. My two bishop advantage looks like it's about to dissipate and never return. White's king is still weaker than my king, so king safety is of paramount importance. I'm not sure if I was using a superfluous word in that sentence, but the king is definitely weaker than my king, and that's very, very important. So king safety is a key feature. Wow, they've done that move. I was not expecting that. So if I do knight takes h4, going sort of ha you can't take me because I am pinning your g3 pawn, they could play knight takes f4. That's something I have to consider. Knight takes f4. Then I have to do knight takes f5. Upon which something happens. Upon which queen g3 is the threat. That's the key threat I have. They can't stop mate directly, so they have to stop it indirectly. Knight e2 might be the right move. Then after knight e2 I take it, so I would win. So after knight takes here, I believe that I'm winning. I believe, I don't know. I'm careful with my language. I don't want to oversell my position. Right, so let's look at other white. Okay, they've taken the bishop, which I wasn't even aware was a move, because I am ridiculous and I didn't even consider it. Alright, well queen takes knight looks like the only thing I can do, unless knight takes pawn check. Queen takes. I don't see the follow-up, because I just don't see things. Queen h5 doesn't quite work. I'm down to 15 seconds. I have to move quickly. I'm going to take them. They're doing that move. Excellent move from them. And somehow I'm not winning. So let's do this. If they take my rook, check, they're probably winning, but they might be in trouble. Maybe. Who knows? And takes. So they have to think about it for a few seconds. They can't just play a move instantly. They've moved their king instantly. Okay, I was wrong. 4 seconds. Okay. Ridiculous. Then I play queen g6 pre-move just because I'm running out of time. I'm guessing rook g1. Queen g1, yes. And this is why my mouse doesn't quite work. So I am losing. All right, that was a good game. I think I must have missed a win or 12 in there somewhere. So let's have a look. Go back to the beginning. Admittedly, I am playing f5, so I kind of deserve everything I get. Hopefully Simon Williams doesn't see this video. The start of it is a bit strange, I have to admit. And taking on d4 is apparently correct, but I elect to complete my knight development. Apparently knight h3 was good for white, but it still looked good for me, to be honest. I took, they took, then I did this. So the evaluation is -2. King f2 was actually correct. I thought that must be one of the best moves. And castling for me was good, just developing without any grand ideas, just playing simple. So I did that later. I thought white did play very well to cause me problems, and especially in the blitz game, this is, well, rapid actually, but with no increments. This can be very, very complicated, and it's a good way of playing. So my checking must be correct, and white does look very, very bad here. Computer's actually saying I should do checking onto. I should check him on h6 and then play g5 with a big lunge with my pawns. And yeah, white has just recovered after h3. I thought white was playing h4, that's why I was so confident. Knight e7 is actually correct from me. They take. Yeah, I looked at playing d6 or d5 to kind of block white's encroachment into the centre, but I felt like switching to the e-file was a good plan. But this did allow knight d4 from white, which would have attacked my rook and gained valuable time. Bishop f2, and despite the fact that their king looks horribly weak and their pieces on the king's side are inactive, because I've got this wall of pawns, it's actually very hard for me to break through. And suddenly white now has the advantage. And they seem to keep it. Bishop f4. And we repeat to gain time. I spent a bit too long on this. g3, queen g5. And amazing that white just seems to be surviving. I think my big miss was potentially this rook to g6 plan, thinking I was winning. It made my rook a bit displaced. Wasted time, and I didn't develop my queen side correctly. And what did I miss here? I must have missed something. Queen f5. Yeah, so I was down to 14 seconds at this point, unfortunately. I think this has been a classical game. I think I would have probably held this at least. And unfortunately, I just don't quite get enough. Knight f5. And I meant to play queen f6 when they played queen g1, but I was too slow on the draw, so I did not achieve the draw and I lost. White definitely has the advantage now because I've lost the exchange and I don't have enough initiative, just like I was fearing earlier. My queenside's lack of play, lack of development of my pieces has led to white recovering, and now they've got the initiative. They're in the driving seat, and they've got more time than me as well, which is always something to think about. So unfortunately I took a bit of a step back. So let's see if I can recover with another game. It's maybe a long video. I'm going to see if I can win one. Let's go to create game. Sometimes there aren't that many people on LightChess, so you may be spared having to watch too many of these games. Let's do 15 minutes plus 10. Oh, casual game. I was going to potentially do that game, but because the whole point of this is to reach 2400, you can't do that playing casual matches. Right, unfortunately I'm playing someone a bit low rated, but sometimes these players do have a surprise in store. Playing a Scandinavian with black playing knight f6, so let's have some fun. Let's go c4. Black has the option of doing the Icelandic gambit, but no, they've chosen c6, which is like a transpositional line. I just don't ever have enough confidence to take on c6. Black gets very active very quickly. So I'm going to play d4, transpose into a Panov line of the Caro-Kann. Black should take on d5. If they don't, then I'm fairly happy. When they take, I go knight c3, they go knight c6. And then usually, I believe queen b3 is a move actually, but I'm probably going to go knight f3 just because it's a lot safer. I don't need to play all these really sharp theoretical lines against lower rated players, because if they know it better than me, or if I go wrong and they capitalize, I could suddenly be in an absolutely dreadful position. And I'm meant to be better at them in most aspects of the game because I'm higher rated. So it's fine if I don't play the best moves, as long as I reach a position, maybe in the middle game, which will lend itself to sort of some creativity and some innovative play. Ideally, something somewhat tactical. I should be able to play them outplay them strategically and tactically as well. He's really thinking on this move, or she's really thinking, or they're really thinking. I'm not sure what they could be thinking about. Knight c6 is the key move here. D takes c4 does isolate my pawn, but I believe when I take with the bishop, I get too much initiative, or at least I'm level. Even if I do, slightly misplay this game. Bishop g4 has been chosen. That's the very unusual move, I think. Queen b3, the sort of Russian variation, similar to a Grunfeld, except black has not yet fianchettoed on the king side, meaning they can't castle, meaning their king is weaker, meaning white has got a better version of the Russian variation of the Grunfeld. I'm threatening d5, b7. The bishop on g4 looks silly now. It's not aiming at anything. If they do d takes c4, I'm not totally certain what the best move is. Bishop takes c4 is a very natural move to play because it develops a piece and it attacks f7 whilst also keeping b7 in the line of sight. Queen takes b7 does look a bit greedy, but it has the benefit of attacking the rook. Black probably will go knight d7, then I'll do bishop takes. Anyway, that conversation is academic because they've played this move. And I'm weighing up my choices. I can take on d5. When they take with the pawn, I then take on b7, then go bishop b5 and try to get a big attack. Queen takes b5 to me just looks so tempting that I have to play it, unfortunately. It's probably not correct, but the thing that's decided it in my favour is after knight to d7, saving their rook, my knight b5 looks very, very strong. It looks it. It might not be strong, but it definitely causes black some headaches. Rook c8 may be correct here, and if you can guess my next move, you might be a pretty good player, or you might have been accustomed to my ideas, be sort of on my wavelength. I'm planning to try and go knight to d6 or c7. He's checked me, so I am not willing to forfeit the attack. I'm going to go bishop d2. He's taken me. I'm playing dangerously, so I'm doing what I said not to do earlier. But my plan is to launch myself at the black king. They can castle, which is a downside, but I've kept a sort of long-term advantage, shall we say. I've kept my c pawn. I'm going to potentially go c5 with a passer. And my attack may be good, but they're stopping me. They're doing this. It may be time for me to retreat my knight, but I still don't want to. I'm still desperately trying to find a way to win quickly. If I don't do something a bit aggressive, they may end up winning anyway, though. Yeah, I've misplayed this a lot. So another danger of playing this reckless style. All right, let's see. Let's go down the rabbit hole and see what happens. King e3. So I'm attempting to hide my king somewhere where the black queen has no influence and develop in peace. My plan's actually similar to the last game. I might go f3, king f2 at the right moment and shield my king that way. Black has a choice. I think black has to castle. And when they castle, I'm potentially thinking of queen c7 with some sort of small edge, potentially. Queen c7 does look fairly good. They do have, if I go c5, they have rook f to b8. And that will cause me problems because after queen c7, they can take my knight. And after queen c6, it does look like I'm really asking for trouble. So maybe I don't play that. But the trouble is, if I don't do anything, my queen may get stuck. I may get trapped. So I do have an antidote, potentially. I'm going to go f3. The reason I'm doing this move is that if rook to c7, I will probably do rook to b8. I'll probably do queen c7. And if rook takes knight, I'll take the queen. They'll take my queen straight back, and then I'll take their bishop. And after all that toing and froing, what may end up happening is I will keep a small advantage. So that's plan A. Plan B is to do queen c6, keeping lots and lots of activity and tension. If I do queen c6, they do have rook c8 though, and I don't really see what I'm accomplishing. Maybe I just get a draw. So draws are boring. Let's do queen c7. Now their queen is directly attacked. If they do nothing, which I am hoping for, I'll take their queen. So if they go queen a4, I can just take the bishop, and I think things are good. They have done rook takes knight, as I expected. Now I must take their queen. They will take me, I suspect. Now I take the bishop. So after all this, they win a pawn, but I'm hoping for the long-term advantage of playing pawn c5. No, they took there. That was a very good move, actually. I forgot that move was existing. All right. I'm unfortunately going to have to lose a pawn. Knight there. So he checked me. He did not take g4. Okay, I'll take any advantage I can get. Knight f3. I have to quickly develop now. I've got the majority on the queen side. I've got 2 versus 1 on A and B. That means... well, I don't know quite what that means, but it may mean that I have to play rook b1. Rook hb1 just looks utterly ridiculous. I'm going to play rook ab1. It may not be quite as good, but I don't feel safe playing rook hb1. Rooks belong on open files. The C file needs to be used. And while earlier it was a big minus, I'm taking a moment to pause and just analyze this move. Okay, fine. Rook d1 may be the best move then. Yeah. Anyway, while it was probably a big minus having my king in the middle when there were queens on the board and all sorts of pieces aiming at me, it may be a plus now because kings in the center in the ending are very strong. My opponent's also down on time, which could be a key factor here. Knight c5. I'm going to keep marching onwards with the king. Suddenly my king's active. My queen side is about to roll up the board. I'm a pawn up. Black has been unable so far to take advantage of my weak coordination of pieces. I think they have to play rook takes rook. I'm going to improve my worst pieces. My knight, I think, needs to come out and dominate the center. You need knights in the center because the further they are away, the worse they get. All right, active king. King d5. Let's keep the centre. I don't want to be forced away. Knight d3 is what he's played. So he is potentially, or she, or they are potentially going for rook c2, but that's not playable. I'm going to play something or other. I will play safe, I think. Yeah, let's play safe. I don't need to play anything complicated. Let's just do g3, stopping knight f4 with a fork on my g-pawn. I'm trying to keep all my pawns together on the board. Rook c2 has been played, blunder, and it's game over, I think. They didn't spot the one move capture, so they may play on, but I think it's now academic. They're going to lose. And okay, I lost 6 in that previous game, but I gained 2, so overall not the worst result I could have got. I am curious to see what happens if we let the computer have a look, and I'll end the video slightly down from the previous one, but still higher than I was at the start of the series. So the first few moves are just theory. I'm not going to bother looking at a computer on theory. The interesting bit after bishop g4 comes queen b3, and black probably has to play Slav like queen b6, where I can win the d5 pawn and things get messy. e6. h3 is apparently good, so getting this attack in on the bishop early. Apparently my advantages are huge if I play c5 or h3 first. This knight b5 was terrible. I did see after bishop check that I had lost my way. c5 is very important to keep the bishop from going to b5. And things are looking extremely bad. It's already -7. So I went from +3 to -7. Not exactly my best game. Sorry, I went a bit fast there. f3 -7, rook b8. Queen c7 is still a lot better for black, and black should keep the queens on because, again, my king is weaker than their king. So if you keep queens on, you're more likely to checkmate. So black went from -7 to -2, still a good advantage. And because my bishop is now allowed to come out with a move, essentially, with a tempo, it's now only about -1. And I do still have 1 pawn advantage, which I'd somehow miscounted the pawns. So I don't know quite how. I think I forgot that I took the pawn on b7. So instead of taking on g4, which would have been about equal on material, and black having better coordination, they let me keep the pawn, so it's now a little better for white. Again, my pieces are not very good. b3, yeah, b3 makes sense as the best move, leaving my rooks available to go to c1 and maybe d1, or to double up. Black's shove of e5 gets rid of one of my only weaknesses, my isolated d4 pawn. Also, it allows me to develop the rook with the tempo. And taking allows me to trade pieces when I'm material ahead, which is very useful. Knight c5 brought my king up, so I really don't like that move. Then knight e6 or knight e4 are good. This was a good attempt at causing me problems with discovered checks. I mean, it's possible I don't even need to move the king, but I don't want to have to analyse deeply. And they do have knight e6 check with potential big attacks on my knight, so king d5 is a good safety move and improving. Knight d3, yeah, knight c6 is a very nice move. Knight c6 not only sets up a threat of knight takes pawn and knight to e7 to take the rook, but it also prevents black from checking with their rook on d8 and from coming down to c2. My move, though, was a very safe one. It simply prevented black having any tricks. And while black did blunder, I feel like I would win this, especially as black was low on time. Anyway, that video is a bit longer than I